Hi little craft makers! Today we're making everybody's favorite food, pizza. Are you ready? I'm going to show you how to do it all by yourself. Let's get started. To make this super cute paper plate pizza, you're going to want to grab, of course, some paper plates, some yarn and scissors to cut the yarn, and I'll tell you in a minute what we'll use that for. And you'll want to grab some foam or construction paper. Just try to make sure that it's red. If you don't have either one of those, that's okay. You can just use a sheet of white paper and a red marker. And then you're gonna want some yellow and brown paint and a paintbrush, of course. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna grab one paper plate and we're going to first paint the bottom of our pizza. So what I'm going to do, put a little bit of water on my brush, and I'm actually going to mix a little bit of the colors. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the yellow and just kind of scoop it on my brush and put it on a blank spot on my plate. You see that? And then I will grab some of the brown, and I just wanna see kind of what it turns into. Do you see how it's kind of turning into an almost lighter brown? So we're gonna add a little more yellow. And what I'm doing is I want to make a color that kind of looks like a pizza crust. So I don't want it to be too dark, but I don't want it to be too yellow either. So keep mixing in the colors. And when you get to a color that seems pretty close, we're gonna paint our crust. So I actually needed a lot more yellow than I thought at first. So that looks pretty good to me. Maybe I'll add a tiny bit more brown. And you see how it's kind of messy on your plate? That's all right. You don't have to worry about that. We're just gonna use all that extra paint to paint on the plate. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna go ahead and paint around the edge of the pizza. So go ahead and paint all around the edge. Try to not get in the middle. We just want to paint the crust. So let's go ahead and paint the crust of our pizza, and then we'll paint the center. There we go. We painted the crust of our pizza. And now I'm gonna clean my brush off, and I'm gonna paint the center. And I actually decided I'm gonna use a little bit of red paint, and I'm gonna paint it right in the middle. Do you know what that's gonna look like? It's gonna look like pizza sauce. So it'll look perfect as we start adding our ingredients on top. It's gonna look just like a real pizza. Let's grab a little bit of red paint, and we're just gonna paint it right in the middle there. So we'll paint that whole middle, and then we'll add our toppings. And now it's time for my favorite part. We're gonna add the toppings on top. So have you figured out yet what I'm gonna use this yarn for? I'm not gonna tell you yet, you're gonna have to watch. So I'm gonna set this over to the side because we're not gonna use it for a minute. We're gonna let it dry. It's still pretty wet. So let's set this over to the side so we don't get it all over our hands and arms. And what we're gonna do, I'm not gonna tell you yet what this is for. You're gonna have to keep watching. So we're gonna take a piece of yarn and we're gonna take our scissors. And don't forget, we always ask our grown-up if we're allowed to use our scissors just because scissors are sharp. So we need to be extra careful. So when we're cutting the yarn, be extra, extra careful. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a lot of little pieces of yarn, probably about an inch long. I'll show you a little trick. So one little trick you can do is take a few of your fingers, I'll probably use 2 of mine, and grab it right there with your thumb and wrap it. Okay, so wrap it around your fingers lots and lots of times. Gotta get a little bit more slack on my yarn. Okay, so wrap it around your fingers lots and lots of times. And by lots and lots of times, I really mean lots and lots, because we want a lot of these pieces, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're going to very carefully cut off the tail. So you see that? Nowhere near my fingers, just cut off that tail and scooch it off your fingers. You see that? Now it's in a circle. Make sure you keep that hole in the middle, okay? There we go. So now, if you can use your scissors, put your scissors in the middle and we're gonna cut the end. If you have a grown-up by you, it might be a good idea to grab your grown-up and ask them to help you with this part, just because this part takes a lot of cutting and it's a little bit weird to do. So we're gonna take our scissors and open them up and stick them through the middle there. See that? And we are just going to cut. All right, and then you can see we've got a lot of longer strings. Just like that, we're gonna stick that on there. So we have a lot of longer strings, but we want a lot of short strings. So what are we gonna do? I'm just going to cut right there. And then I'm gonna do it one more time. There you go. So now, are you starting to see what it looks like? Let's put it on. Okay, we're gonna grab our paper plate. I'm just gonna scooch those over a little bit. We're gonna grab our paper plate. It's mostly dry, so perfect timing. And I'm gonna grab some glue and we're gonna glue those on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna squeeze glue all over this. You can use craft glue or school glue. Either one of those will work for this. And both of those glues dry totally clear. So you can kind of just squeeze it all over the top and then we'll add our toppings on top of that. So I'm just gonna squeeze it kind of like in a zigzag all over the top. There we go. And just to make sure I have lots, I'll turn it and I'll do that again. Okay. And it doesn't dry too fast, so you don't have to work too quick. And now you're gonna take this and start sprinkling it. Can you tell what it is? It's cheese. So we're making a cheesy pizza. I love this part because it looks so much like cheese. It makes your pizza look so real. There we go. Do you see why we want a lot? I even feel like we could probably do some more. So I'm gonna make one more of those loops really quick and make a few more pieces of cheese to add to the top. So that way it's really cheesy because I like my pizza really cheesy. All right, I made a lot more of those little cheesy pizza pieces and I am just going to sprinkle them on and I'm gonna get my hands a little dirty and I'm just gonna tap it on. You'll get a little glue on your fingers, but that's okay because it's gonna wash off anyway. So tap it on and then we are going to add, what is my pizza missing? What can you think we're gonna use this stuff for? Pepperoni, of course. So let's make some pepperoni. I'll set that right there and we're gonna make some pepperoni. And like I said earlier at the beginning when we gathered our supplies, you can use felt, you could even use foam if you wanted to, red construction paper, or if you don't have any of those things, you can take a sheet of white paper and just draw red circles and cut those out. So anything will work with this craft. That's the fun thing is you can use a lot of different things if you don't have all the exact same supplies as I'm using. I'm gonna use the felt because I think it almost looks a little like the pepperoni, and I'm just gonna cut out a few circles from here. So I think the best way to cut out those pepperoni is to first cut out a few squares and then make a circle out of that. You could also always take your glue bottle and trace around the bottom and then cut out your circles from there. I'm gonna show you how I do it because not every pepperoni is exactly the same size or perfect circle. So I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. I like to just kind of freehand it. So I'm just cutting out kind of a square, doesn't need to be perfect. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna take that square and I'm just gonna round those edges off. So I'll show you how I do it. I start with one edge and I just kind of round it and I turn the piece of felt as I go. And you can see those little square edges start to fall off. So just turn it as you go. And then you have a pepperoni. So my pizza is not very big, so I don't actually need too many. I'll probably use maybe 3 or maybe even 5. So I'm gonna cut out a few and see if I have enough. If not, I'll make a couple more. Now, we could probably just stick the pepperonis in the glue, or just to make sure that they really stick and stay once you're done with the craft, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the bottom. So I'm just gonna put kind of like a little circle of glue and stick my pepperoni on. Hopefully you like pepperoni on your pizza, but if not, don't worry, you won't be eating this one. Stick that on. And you can see how you probably can't fit that many unless you love pepperoni, and then you can just kind of layer them all on top of each other. So I think that 5 is going to be perfect. I'm gonna stick that there, and then I'll stick this one in the middle right there. All right. Actually, I want that to go there. That's the fun thing about using glue in a bottle, is you can move things around because it doesn't dry too fast. Perfect. There it is. Isn't it cute? It looks just like a real pizza. It just doesn't smell as good as a real pizza, sadly. Don't try eating this one. It probably just tastes like paper and glue, but it's perfect to play restaurant or chef with your friends. I think this is an awesome fun craft that any age can do. So share it with your friends, and I will see you guys back in a few days with another new craft. Bye. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I'll be posting new crafts every Wednesday and Saturday, so don't forget to subscribe.